All right, patch 1.5 is going to be coming out with a world betrayed for Total War 3 Kingdoms. And I know a lot of people are kind of wondering to themselves, why do I even care about this? I just want my Warhammer news. And I think we all really want some Warhammer news, but I'd be doing a disservice to the Total War franchise if I didn't cover this, because I think that patch 1.5 is pretty huge. I think it does a lot of really good things for 3 Kingdoms. I think it's pretty obvious now that a lot of content creators do have early access to Total War 3 Kingdoms, and we are under our certain embargoes, and we can only show you so much stuff at any given time. So with that, though, I want to go through these patch notes real quick, because there's a lot of stuff that I can't wait to show you guys that is included in this patch that at least now we can see in writing what it looks like. As the days kind of progress, we'll hopefully be able to show you in actuality what they actually look like. So without further ado, let's jump into the patch 1.5 patch notes. So just to kind of go over the highlights right here, the introduction of the White Tiger Yen, or Yen by Hu, as a playable character, 17 new characters to recruit into your factions, new bandit faction mechanics and general overhaul, an update to spies, changes to 190 CE start date, and various bug fixes and balance changes. If you want to just kind of hear it from Total War itself, they did a great 10-minute video that summarizes all these patch notes and goes into them with pretty good detail, showing you exactly what they're like in the game. This is just clearly going to be me showing you these patch notes themselves, which I will link in the description, so if you do want to read them, you can. But you can just jump and see that video on the patch notes on their blog. So if you want to watch it, it's there. That way you can see all the stuff in actuality. But I think White Tiger Yen is probably the most exciting thing about this DLC, because A, it's free LC, and B, I think he brings a lot of really awesome things to the table, and I can't wait to show you that on Sunday when I show you guys the campaign overview for Yen by Hu. But he has his Shen Yue camps, as well as his White Tiger Confederation. That's pretty much just all about building up alliances and coalitions with your factions to kind of really create this bandit empire. It's pretty cool, actually. And I think for a mechanic that's kind of different from the typical Han warlords, it's a lot of fun. And I really enjoy what the White Tiger Confederation means to me, as far as what it could possibly mean for the next DLC. We don't really know what that next DLC or when that next DLC is, but I'm hoping it is some barbarians of Nam Nam. I really want to see that, and I think the White Tiger Confederation kind of gives us a little bit of a taste of what that might be like, depending on how they do those barbarian factions and how they deal with things over there. So I'll do a whole speculation video on that, and we'll cover that in depth later. But I think the White Tiger Confederation kind of excites me about that possible system of creating an empire aside from everything else. But we also have some notable characters here. Yen by Hu starts the campaign with his brother Yen Yu. Then you also get some new units as well: the Yue Remnant Force Warriors, Yue Tribesmen, White Tiger Raiders, and White Tiger Warriors. These guys are pretty gnarly. I really like these guys. You start off with some of the Remnant Warriors to begin with, but we'll talk about that on Sunday. So as far as new legendary characters go, it does say that all these characters will appear in all relevant campaigns, including 190 CE and 182 CE start dates. But we get the Warriors of Wu, the Chao Sisters, Lu Bu's Rebels, and the two Zhangs, as well as some tertiary characters that aren't necessarily main ones that pertain to the lore, but they just kind of add to the overall flavor of the game with unique artwork. So they kind of just explain that in the video above, so I would definitely recommend checking out that video. So if you want to see what these guys actually look like in their in-game 3D renders, you definitely can through that quick little video. But we also get the new character title system, and honestly, this thing is huge. So, you know, before, how you used to play 3 Kingdoms, you would just advance the rank of whoever you had in your army. Your sentinels, your strategists, so on and so forth. And they had a set kind of ranking system with specific titles. Now you can actually appoint a specific title. So the way this works is you press a button and it opens up a menu, and you can choose from a list of titles. Right there's a list of titles that a faction has access to, which can be assigned to characters. And these titles are further unlocked as you complete certain bonus or certain campaign objectives. So basically it's like a mini achievement system built into the game that if you do 30 battles where you attack or you win 30 sieges, well, then you get, this is not the actual reward for it, but General who gives tranquility to the north. There's a bunch of titles just like this. And with here, there's a really good example. It even gives us the unlock parameters. General who gives tranquility to the north, unlocked by conquering 5 regions north of the Yellow River. 200 character salary to be expected, but it gives you 10 expertise, 20 satisfaction, 5% campaign movement range when commanding, and 5% speed own retinue. So you get these chances to really kind of hone down on your characters as pertaining to the way you're kind of doing your own campaign or the way you're trying to have one specific army expand. I mean, I don't know if you guys have ever done this. I always kind of do it as like a personal, like mental role play where I'm like, okay, well, I'm expanding north, I'm expanding east, I'm expanding west, or whatever game I'm playing, whichever total war. And I always kind of have like, all right, this guy's going to be like my general of the north, my warden of the north. This is always going to be that guy up there. Well, now you can actually have that kind of title depending on what your scenario is. So I think it's a really cool way to kind of tip the hat to Total War players and their high customizable or at least high kind of replayability of your campaigns. You don't always have to have your Sentinels going through the exact same title pattern. They can have their own character titles as pertain to the army and what their objective of that army is. So I really do like this change on the title system. I think it adds a lot of really cool granularity to the game without making it complex. I mean, this really is, it takes you maybe reading through the titles once. It takes you about 10 minutes. And you understand that some titles gear you more towards conquest, gear you more towards conquesting in certain regions, or defending certain things. Or here, this one's unlocked by having 5 characters healed after suffering wounds or win a duel with a character who has the Scarred trait. So you've got these things that really kind of flavor your campaign. And once you understand what they are, you just kind of move towards them. So you build those character titles in a way that really makes a lot of sense for you and your campaign. And I'm all about that kind of customizability when it comes to that kind of stuff. Now, the Bandit Rework is huge. That is massive. So basically the way this is done is that the network is a map of China, and it's got tech nodes for every single commandery throughout China. And those tech nodes depend upon what they are emphasizing. So you've got some that kind of emphasize tribes. You've got some that emphasize corruption within the government. So it just depends. It's basically the narrative here is that you're building out a network of contacts and alliances with various marginalized groups and their sympathies. And these sympathies, they extend to maybe the religious groups or to corrupt government officials or to militaristic portions of commanderies or the innate tribes and indigenous people of every single commandery. So you're establishing these connections with your bandit network, and it's furthering your expansion of your bandit empire. And I think it's a very cool touch because it does away with the research system. I mean, even though the research system is beautiful, I still think the Bandit Rework system looks beautiful too, though. It's got the same exact aesthetic of the rest of the game's UI. And with it, you get access to new units with every single node you research. Sometimes you'll be able to unlock units right here. Many technologies either unlock units or increase the number of a unit type that can be recruited by bandits. So, as you expand through your map in your playthrough of your bandits, and Yen Bai Hu being a brand new bandit, you can then choose this Bandit Rework to either follow the trail of your conquest and giving you further research bonuses throughout that trail of conquest, or you just kind of go whatever you want or whatever direction you want with your Bandit Rework as befitting the specific technologies you want to unlock. But we'll dive deep on that on Sunday, so stay tuned on Sunday for the Bandit Rework and me kind of diving through it and showing it to you guys. Also, we've made some changes to the way that bandits build settlements so that they are more in keeping with the role of a bandit. The emphasis will be on building enough armies for raids in small settlements rather than building a major city with a school, for example. The bandits have a new source of income and food, banditry, and this is increased with the Shenyue camps that we've seen from the from Yen Bai Hu. I think it even says right here. Additional minor settlement, the Shenyue camp this provides food and gives bonus research speed to certain bandit settlement and grants access to additional UA travel units. Well, it also gives you banditry stuff. I know that because I played it. But bandits now have different reduced building options in major settlements. So grain storage, land development, labor, private workshops, tribals, tribute hall, corrupted judiciary, forges, bandit chain, inn, market, wharf, and harbor. So It's basically saying that they're trying to reduce overall the amount of empire building as a bandit and increase overall the level of raiding and small skirmish style fights you're doing. So bandits overall are no longer just going to play like simply a Han warlord with different mechanics. They're going to play like a bandit. And I think that that is a really good touch to bandits. It kind of pulls them out of the typical play structure, because otherwise you're kind of playing like a weird kind of like splintered faction that is just, the odds are stacked against them, but you have to build it the exact same ways. And a lot of Three Kingdoms relies on you having large amounts of commanderies to really steamroll your entire economy. I mean, your economy requires a lot of building on top of itself. Like, okay, I need to build as many commerce and then commerce income and then commerce income adding buildings. I need to make that multiply even more with like percentage bonuses from my administrators and so on and so forth. So what they're saying that with this, the bandits will move away from that typical structure that you had with Three Kingdoms and into a more militaristic, a more raiding style, a more, again, banditry style system. And I'm all about that. I think it's a way better approach. So additionally, bandits get second building slots in all minor settlements within which they can build one of the following chains. So black market for banditry, mustering grounds for additional replenishment and reduces redeployment costs, preparatory camp for increased research rate, food tents increases public order and loot, and Shenyue camps, unique to Yen Baihu, increases food production and Yue tribes and recruitment cap. As always, I do apologize if I do butcher anything. Shun Yue, I was told that the Yue at the end is supposed to kind of have like a W sound at the end of it, so I'm like, I can't wrap my brain around it, but I'm doing the best I can. So there's also looting and share the spoils. Loot is the bandit replacement for supplies. So again, a further change and differentiation from our with the bandit rework here. It is gained when armies are in the enemy territory and slowly lost in friendly territory. Bandits are immune to effects such as faction support and terrain penalties towards supplies. So this is the opposite of the way it works, right? Supplies typically slowly deplete when in enemy territory and slowly regain in friendly territory. So it's the opposite here. Share the Spoils stance rapidly depletes loot for the army, but increases local province income from banditry, food gain from banditry, and settlement reserves, and boosts unit replenishment. Almost got emotional there. Bandit forces will receive different effects depending on the amount of loot they are currently carrying. So I really, really like this system because I think it's, again, it encourages you to spend time in enemy territory, to get out of your commanderies and turtling and trying to build armies and build up your faction. Go and fight, go and raid, go and pillage, go and burn, and loot, and get that loot. I think it's a really, really cool difference here. And you have the bandit core progression here: outlaw, bandit, raiders, bandit king, bandit leader, bandit king, and then emperor. Heir ministerial positions is replaced by next in line and no longer requires character to be a family member. Prime minister replaced with right hand, and chancellor replaced with incense master, commandant with master of arms, excellency with chief smuggler, unbending negotiator, relentless enforcer, and administrators are now underlings. So again, it fits this huge shift away from that Han style empire building and more towards a bandit style bandit thing. There are now new templates for characters who will only spawn for bandit factions. There are variations of existing classes with new skill trees that give more relevant bonuses to bandits. So if you are worried about, hey, you know, that's great you're doing all this, but what about all the skills that really only pertain to empire building? Well, here is your answer to that. You also get some new units with bandits: marauders, raiders, warriors, hunters, and spear gang. All additionally, through the bandit network, the bandit factions can gain access to units previously unique to some factions like Yi archers, as well as some yellow turban units. So that's a cool way to kind of keep them in the fight, even outside of their occupation within the game, I guess you could say. They have a special tax level, special public order. Then the mercenary treaties, which are so huge. This large section here, I'm going to try to summarize here real quick for you guys. So the mercenary treaties, they last 20 turns. And essentially the way they work is another faction will offer you a mercenary treaty. And when that contract is active, you basically are at war with the faction that they want you to be the mercenary for. And throughout those 20 turns, you have a chance to go and destroy as much of that faction as you can, taking regions and commanderies as much as you possibly can. And when you do that, though, you actually you can offer it back to the faction. So By doing, you earn fame and fortune. Fame and fortune is earned by fighting against the target or gifting their settlements to the mercenary employer. Earning a lot of fame and fortune makes it more likely that a dilemma that it rewards the mercenary for their actions will be triggered. It also improves the reward options and gives a morale bonus to the mercenary's army. So this is a really cool way to play, and it's only accessible to bandits and Lu Bu. So you do only have access through those four characters in total. But I think it's a really cool way, because I think that, let's just read this real quick before we do it. To reiterate, only when playing as Lu Bu or a member of the bandit faction will you have access to the Mercenary Treaty mechanic. When playing as another faction, you cannot ask the AI to sign a Mercenary Treaty. Just to kind of re-emphasize here. But I think it's a cool way to kind of give your campaign some direction if you felt kind of aimless. I especially think that's great with Lu Bu, who outside of his, greatest warrior cabinet, he doesn't really have much direction for his campaign, and this kind of gives you at least a motivation to go certain directions or certain areas you would not have gone otherwise. And I think the same thing can be said for bandits. Outside of your actual network, you really don't have a set motivation for your expansion, and this gives you that little bit of a carrot on a stick, and I'm pretty down with it. So spies update here. Now they've kind of changed things the way spies work. You've got different kind of delineations of spy now. You've got scouts, which can provide line of sight. You can build an undercover network, or you can incite unrest. It's like the three classifications of what you can do with your characters that are on assignment as spies. In addition to, you can also extract your spies before a battle. So added ability for spies to be extracted from an enemy army before engaging them in battle. That they go back to the faction pool or to the campaign map as a reinforcing army if there is a capacity for the new army. So it's kind of streamlined spies so they're actually a little bit more useful, and the risk reward for them kind of fits more in line, where it's like the system doesn't just punish you. Whereas, okay, if the army gets in a fight with you, well, now you got to fight your spy buddy. Sorry, man. That's the way it goes. Like, now you can actually remove them from that situation because you maybe didn't see them coming, whatever the case is. So I think that the spy rework is not a massive change to the game, but I think it's just a nice fine tuning to it that makes the system work a little bit better. We also get a new unit type here. Oh my god, I'm going to mangle this. Jean Magian, a double-sided sword so large it fits. It is said to be able to remove a horse's head with a single sweep. So this is going to be a pretty sweet little ditty added to the game. We also have a lot of map changes and changes where people have been moved. Their starting positions are changed as well. So Zheng Chao started position swapped with Ji Rong. Wang Lung, I mangled that one. Moved with Peng Cheng to Guaihe. I'm not gonna read those. I haven't looked at the pronunciations of these yet, so those are the adjustments that were made. Usually before I start any of these Three Kingdoms videos, I'll like spend a laborious amount of time like poring over the pronunciations because I just hate getting it wrong. I think it's so disrespectful. So I'm so sorry if I just butchered the shit out of that. But we have a number of population changes in all of the cities, and then a lot of population effects that have now been changed. So this is a big thing. Population used to have a huge sway on the way your city actually progressed. So population now increases all income, not just peasantry. It used to solely increase peasantry, obviously. Population now increases food production, and population now grants additional constructions per turn once over 1 million. Assignments in buildings that increase conscription now also decrease population. Assignments in buildings that increase population by a large amount now decrease adjacent commanderies' population due to migration, with the exception of wood buildings. So I feel like that's a really strong, good change. Also, fertility changes aplenty. So people are having more babies or less babies depending on where it is. So the population will then kind of reflect that. And this is better to reflect their historical food production capabilities. Overall balance changes has been pretty huge too. Characters now gain 2 skill points on reaching rank 10 instead of rank 1. Warlord ability changes add a cap of 5 to Hail of Arrows. That used to be a very overpowered skill. Cap the melee evasion reduction for Lu Bu's Smoldering Fury ability to -15%, and fixing the issue with Warlord versus Warlord matched kill animations. They were doing damage to themselves, I believe. Yeah, there, yeah. See, they were reflecting large amounts of damage onto themselves. But they've gone on and also rebalanced all the cav and the missile units. So, as well as axe and unit tier rework and everything like that. So, let's take a look real quick at the cost, or I'm sorry, the cav rebalance. So, the cav has never really been awesome. It's always kind of felt a little lackluster. So, and they've also been a little hard to defeat during certain situations. So to fix this, cavalry speed across the board has been increased, as well as missile units now doing 50% more damage against fire cav, shock cav in this case. This should see fire cavalry taking far more casualties under fire. And also, there's been an upkeep reduction for a lot of them because the cav has just been so grossly out of proportion upkeep-wise. Then, as far as missile units go, they've had a lot of their effectiveness kind of tuned back a little bit. They were a little too overpowered, I think, for a lot of people, but they now do a little bit more damage against cavalry to really kind of balance that out. And I'm not going to just kind of fine-tune comb through all this because there's a ton of sweeping changes here, guys. Like, look at this. To reduce their effectiveness against infantry, all shielded troops have seen a slight boost. The missile block chance. Imperial Tower shield remains at 80%. Default hero block is now 35, up from 25. Elite heroes now 50, up from 40. I mean, heroes were able to just get gibbed by archers and defense towers very quickly. So this kind of helps bring that back in line. These are the major sweeping changes to missile units. And it really, I think, is going to bring things a little bit more in line, in my opinion. We also have a unit tier rework. Following on from changes made from the Mandate of Heaven, unit upkeep and recruitment costs have been overhauled. This should help solidify the militia units as less value for money than higher tiers when used in the campaign. And I think that's a pretty good one there. The unit cost rebalancing is huge and sweeping. I will not cover all of this, but suffice to say that we're going to see a lot of recruitment costs increasing and decreasing depending on the overall tier of the unit, and then the upkeep fitting that increase to the cost. So I guess just to make an example here, most of this doesn't deal with any militia, so I was actually going to use that as an example, but most things have had their recruitment cost increased or decreased depending, again, on their tier within the game. So as a whole, though, I think that we're going to be seeing a lot of really awesome things coming with the 1.5 update. I think that, and I'm going to be doing a video about this because I think that it hasn't really gotten the justice it deserves. But I think that Three Kingdoms is in such a better place than it was a year ago when it first came out. And I still think Three Kingdoms is a really solid, strong game. It has an amazing UI. I think the diplomacy is a really sweet addition to the game, that it's streamlined in a really cool way. And I can't wait to see that kind of like bleed into Total War Warhammer 3. And I think that a lot of the big sweeping changes that they've done to Three Kingdoms has made the game a lot stronger. The spy rework, the bandit rework, everything feels a little bit more individualistic and a little less homogenized like it used to be in the beginning of the game. With a brand new game having come out, everyone kind of felt like, oh, this is all brand new. But once you kind of boil it down, you kind of felt like you were doing the same thing no matter what character you played. So hopefully this adds enough variety to the gameplay to really make it very different and very exciting for people. I really can't wait to see some of the other fun stuff that comes out in between this patch and hopefully the next patch and whatever the next DLC is for Three Kingdoms. They've been doing a lot of really crazy, cool DLCs. I think 8 Princes was a little bit of a flop, but Mandate of Heaven was a really solid DLC. This one, I think, is more about the FLC and the patch and less about the DLC itself. I don't think that Sun Tzu or Lu Bu are these amazing, crazy, cool things added to the game. I think everything else that came free is the best part about this DLC. So guys, thank you so much for watching here today. Let me know in the comment section below what you do or don't like about what's coming with Three Kingdoms. I'd love to get your guys' community feedback. It's stuff I can filter up to Creative Assembly and say, hey, this is what the people are saying. So if you do have a strong opinion about this either way, go ahead and let me know in the comments below. But either way, thank you so much for watching here today. Have a good one and take care.